I'm happy to have it. Zach Braun just was the jewel of the free agent class that no one saw coming, and so happy to have him back into the fold, man. Um, I want to give big shout out to Big Play Slay. He serves his job and did his purpose. We brought him over to help shore up our secondary. We got the two Super Bowls with him. He got his ring. Let that man ride off and find someone who's willing to pay him. I'm happy to see James Bradbury go. He's been nothing but a headache since the holding call on Juju Smith Schuster that cost us the first Super Bowl we played against the Chiefs. So we should be sitting on three right now because of him. But the dude was injured, so just cut your losses. But with the signings we did make, I'm happy to have it back. I don't think it's ludicrous to pay Saquon like that. That dude is still in his prime. Still with some good years left to be able to put on him. Happy that we were able to do it and keep everything going, man.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And I know it's been 11 or 12 years now, but I'm going to go back to the Seahawks championship run. And one thing that happened was the team honestly did a really poor job with the credit pie. You win a championship in pro sports, everyone wants to be the man, the key cog, the straw that stirs the drink. And that really hurt the Seahawks because everyone wanted all of that shine, so to speak. And to see the Eagles bring back a couple of their mainstays, pay some of their own guys, it's really going to go a long way to trying to make it back in the crazy long journey that it is making the Super Bowl. And I just want to put this out there too is I feel in the NFL, some teams or most teams really kind of obsess over the key premier positions, and the Eagles have done that over Howie's tenure. But I love when a team just looks at themselves and says, "This is our key guys." Yeah, the Eagles have kind of been running back by committee. We're not going to pay linebackers, but when you get all pro performances, RG, you got to keep those guys no matter the position. To me.
Reward them for their play. And with the nucleus that we have around us, we're set up well for the future moving forward. And that's really all you can hope for. Nothing lasts forever. The NFL stands for not for long. So let's be grateful that we got some key pieces coming back. The big component is going to be health and to see if we can gel under our new offensive coordinator. If we can keep those things moving, man, I like where we're at to see if we can get a chance to at least get back to one more in this 2 to 3 year window that we have to be able to do that.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Well, a couple things happened, and one guy was on the Eagles' radar, but Max Crosby earlier in the week breaks the record for contract by a non quarterback. 2 days later, Miles Garrett breaks that record for contract by a non quarterback. We know the Eagles were sniffing around the Miles Garrett sweepstakes. There's been some shit talking on the internet about Miles demanding a trade, then signing that deal. That literally doesn't bug me one bit. That's business. And you know what? The simple fact is, RG, if the Browns wanted to keep Miles Garrett, the only thing they could do was give him an offer he couldn't refuse, and that's what they had to do.
Of course, man, you got to keep a guy like that in the fold. He is who he is, and he hopefully can make you what you are. It's not his fault that you went and overspent on Deshaun Watson's nasty ass. It's not his fault that you guys can't keep a quarterback healthy. It's not his fault on the decisions that they've made. So, do what you can to keep him in the fold. Would I love to see him in that Kelly Green? Absolutely. But didn't work out that way. But congrats to him, man, for knowing what he was worth, finding a way to demand what he was worth, and breaking money records with that bag, dog.
Dude, speaking of breaking money records, man, he is somewhat of a polarizing player in the league, but Josh Allen with the Buffalo Bills just became the NFL's most guaranteed money player in its history. Is he the best quarterback in the league? Probably not. He's definitely up in the top few. Just tell me any thoughts you think on Josh Allen breaking all-time records for money in this league.
My thing with Josh Allen is I think he's really good. I think he's a more athletic version of Brett Favre, because they do kind of have that same gunslinger mentality. With everything that Josh Allen has been handed, now it's up to him to get the monkey off his back. They changed overtime rules for you. They've put you in these prime time positions where narratives, I believe, won you an MVP over the fact that Lamar Jackson had 4,000 fucking yards and and less than what, 5 interceptions.
Hmm.
Um, they've they've done all that they can to shift this thing in your favor. It's now time for Josh Allen to win something. Because now, if he doesn't win something, he becomes almost a pariah to me. But the guy's career is still young. You got to give a guy a chance to grow into what he's going to become. It's all on him now, dog. It's all on him. Whatever pressure that Lamar's been feeling the last 3 seasons is now on Josh Allen. He has no choice but to get Buffalo over the hump.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Well, I got a quick question then, because I think it's appropriate for this one. Go back in our time machine a little bit, man. Do you think Jim Kelly or Josh Allen has had a better career?
I'm not a guy that thinks that stats are the only thing that matters. Jim Kelly got to 4 straight Super Bowls,
Hmm.
but he didn't win one. Josh Allen hasn't gotten past the conference championship game yet. So I'm going to go with Jim Kelly as far as the rankings in Buffalo, at least because he got his guys to the final season. I mean, to the final game of the final season. And really, if Scott Norwood doesn't shank that kick, the story of the Bills is completely different.
Hmm.
Story of the Bills is completely different if Scott Norwood doesn't shank that kick. So I'm gonna ride with Jim Kelly. Allen still has to prove something. Allen
Yeah.
still has to have his Michael Jordan moment where he gets past the Pistons. And until he does that, I'm not willing to crown that guy next anymore. He's had his moments. They have favored him over and over again. It's time for him to prove something. And you know how it is, dog. The stats don't mean a thing if you can't bring home that ring. They can
Yeah, no
talk
doubt.
as much shit about Jalen as they want to, but arguably, when the lights are the brightest, that guy plays his best. Can you really say that about Josh Allen? I know it takes 11 guys on offense to make offense work, but does Allen give them the best chance to be able to get it done? I don't know if he can. I still think that
Hmm.
Burrow's better than him.
I do too.
Yeah.
Well, for me, a quarterback has to play point guard. He has to be a distributor. He has to deliver the ball accurately and on time. And all the extra stuff is great. The extra stuff is great, but I think Josh Allen is still in that spot where he needs to do the fundamentals and execute the play on a more consistent basis to get where he wants to get. It's great to be a gunslinger. His numbers can be eye popping, but I got to ride with Jim Kelly also, because to me, Buffalo's 4 straight Super Bowl appearances is one of the single great runs in NFL history. We can't put
It
him
is.
in the same table as a lot of these champion dynasties, but for a 4 year run, they are up there with the best 4 year runs ever. Could you imagine a team going to 4 straight Super Bowls? That's why we hold the Chiefs in such high regard. Where even though they've been embarrassed twice in the Super Bowl, getting there is an incredible accomplishment.
It is. Getting there and winning three. Getting there 5 times, winning three is nothing to be laughed at. It does put the debate to bed for a little bit between Brady and Mahomes, but again, I just think that that's an unfair debate to have because he still needs what 4 more to catch the guy. So I think that's unfair to try to bury him because he had 2 bad Januarys. I mean 2 bad Februarys. There's a lot of guys who would kill to have 1 bad February. Ask Dan Marino.
Truth. It's the truth, man. And think about how hard it is to make the Super Bowl when we really think about it, too. That's why I give so much praise to the champion each year. Let's just think back. when Dan Marino made the Super Bowl in his what second season, I believe. You don't think he ever thought he would be back? Let's go back about 15 years or so. What if I told you that Aaron Rodgers would never make it back to the Super Bowl? What if I
Never.
told you Drew Brees would never make it back to the Super Bowl? There's a reason I give so much flowers to the NFL champion because of the incredible journey. And we know how football is. You practice and work out all year to play a handful of games. That's what it is.
What's that site you send me when you send me head to head player stats and comparisons against each other? For all the love that Aaron Rodgers gets, put Ben Roethlisberger next to him and give me
Mm,
that same comparison. And the guy that I'm going to take is the guy that won 2 Super Bowls. Even though
yeah.
he absolutely had the most horrible performance by a Super Bowl winning quarterback against the Seahawks,
Oh,
the
we
guy is
know.
still, I know you know, the guy has still won two. The guy has still won two and put up crazy numbers, man. So it's just really tough. I think it might be the toughest feat in sports just because of how physical that the game is. Football's not a contact sport. Football is a collision sport.
Yep.
Football is out there getting in car wrecks for 60 minutes every week. Just it's really tough to be able to have the mental fortitude to get yourself in and stay in that fight regardless how much money you're making. Really tough to be able to do that over and over again. So big shout out to a guy like Mahomes. Big shout out to a guy like Brady. Troy Aikman, a three-time Super Bowl winner, had to quit because of because of the toll it took on his body with the concussions and all of that. We see a guy like Terry Bradshaw who played in an era where there wasn't the protections for the quarterback, and thank God he looks as good as he does for his age on Fox and being there. A guy like Joe Montana, it takes some real tough, tough son of a bitch to be able to get there multiple times and hoist it. But you know, like you said, we Marino only gone once, Rogers went once, Breeze went once, and these are some of the guys that we hold in the annals of some of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. The NFL is tough, man. NFL is real tough.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I'm stoked right now, RG, because I was having computer problems and didn't really realize it till I was messing around. The live chat is with us. I wasn't purposely ignoring anybody. My feed just wasn't showing me the comments. So, what is up to everybody? Texas Power, you're thinking Will Anderson and Miles Garrett. We were thinking for RG, Nolan Smith, Carter, and all the other Bulldogs paired with Miles Garrett. Because to me, Miles is already a Hall of Famer, so add him to any squad and it would have been great. But I digress. That's not what gonna happen here. Dude, Tyson Baxter knows I'm hurting inside, but I'm actually really optimistic for the Seahawks overall, RG. We can maybe get into that in a little bit, but just so y'all know, it's not like I'm not a Josh Allen fan by any stretch. I think he's fantastic. I think if he has 5 more years of sustained play at this current level, he becomes a Hall of Famer. But there's also levels to this shit, and he doesn't get to sit at the same table as all the other champions. And RG, like we're saying, he hasn't even made it to the Super Bowl. Can you at least make the Super Bowl, man? We got lots of ballers like a Cam Newton out there who are not going to make the Hall of Fame, but at least they made that jump to make it to the Super Bowl. That shit really matters to me. And just statistically, me and RG were going back and forth on our text one time, and sometimes I'm learning. Sometimes I'm overrating, but you know what? Volume passing is a real thing, and Jalen Hurts has a point 0.1 better QB rating than Josh Allen on his career. So to me, that points to efficiency, and I need efficiency out of my quarterback. Y'all can call all the passes you want, but I need my guy to make the plays when given because I'm also a still firm believer that the running game opens up everything on both sides of the ball.
Absolutely, man. We talk about who was it? It was Cam Newton. You said Cam Newton, and I brought something up. Cam Newton said he would rather have his MVP than a championship, and I think Cam Newton is full of shit. Because if you ask Charles Barkley if he would trade in his MVP of '93 for a championship, he would do it in a heartbeat, not even fucking think about it. How could you not want to be considered a winner? How could you not want to be considered one of the best to be able to do this? And unfortunately, you need championships to be able to get it done. I love what Caitlin Clark has done for the WNBA and the game of women's basketball, but it still remains to be seen what her impact will truly do when once the NCAA tournament starts in 2 weeks to see if they get any type of the numbers that they got last year. And it's okay if you're a fan of Caitlin Clark and not a fan of the game in general, but if we're talking about where she is in the ranks of greatness, Diana Taurasi is the all-time leading scorer, and Diana Taurasi has the rings to be able to back it up. Sue Bird has the rings to be able to back it up. Maya Moore has the rings to be able to back it up. You were judged in professional sports and is seen by winning championships, and I can't put you as the greatest to ever do it if you've never even competed for one. It's really
Mhm.
tough to be able to do that.
Well, if you're talking about women's champions in the great sport of basketball, I'm just going to give a huge shout out now to Sue Bird, Lauren Jackson, Jewel Lloyd, and Brianna Stewart, all star players that have won multiple championships. If we're being real here, man, the true champion of Seattle is actually the Seattle Storm, whether there is minimal viewership or not.
Real talk, real talk, real talk, man. Real talk. Championships is what you play professional sports for. The money's nice, but you do want to be considered a championship. I bet you Allen Iverson would trade his MVP for a title.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, man. So we got an interesting debate going on in the chat right now about the top five quarterbacks in the game. Mariners Leifert got it in this order. He's got Mahomes, Lamar, Hurts, Burrow, Allen. Texas Tyson Baxter has it: Lamar, Burrow, Mahomes, Hurts, and Allen. I'm going to go with Mahomes, Burrow, Hurts, Lamar, Allen. That's where I'm throwing up for mine. I'm going Mahomes, Burrow, Hurts, Lamar, and Allen.
Okay. I like that. I like that. This is where it gets tricky, but we're not talking okay. So when we talk about someone winning the MVP, I'm always on it. It's a regular season award. So I'm not gonna judge someone's playoff performance. But if we're talking about this right now, I have to go Mahomes. I'm gonna go Mahomes, Lamar, Burrow, Hurts, Allen in that order. I just think what Lamar has done in the regular season over and over and over again is just exceptional. RG, let's just put it like this, man. So the haters are going to tell us Lamar Jackson's a running back. He's a running quarterback. He should be option. He should be a slot receiver. Man, fuck all that, dude. If a quarterback has a 3-to-1 touchdown ratio to interception ratio, he's had a fantastic season. Lamar just went on a 10-to-1 TD to pick ratio. So you cannot tell any of us that that dude is just a running quarterback.
Forgive me for looking down. I'm trying to find the stat. I know I put it up. Maybe I put it up in a different part of our conversation. But to sleep on Mahomes just because of how the Super Bowl win is just completely unfair. That guy is the best dude in his generation right now, considering that there's that the class above great quarterback class above him, they're all gone. Aaron Rodgers is a shell of himself. Matt Stafford, it was never in there. Um, Flacco won a championship, but he's in a backup role now. Russ hasn't been Russ for a very long time. So for the guys that are around, and when we're naming those names off, all of them have one. Patty has three. So let's not fuck around. Mahomes is Mahomes is still the guy at the top of that list. I think that Joe Burrow might be the next best, most talented quarterback to not have a Super Bowl. After that, I'm going with Jalen Hurts, even though he's an Eagle, and that might sound like a homer pick. In the brightest lights twice, he has outplayed the guy who's considered the best quarterback of his generation.
Mhm.
And he has one. So to be able to put the rest of those guys who haven't even been there ahead of him is completely disrespectful to him. If you like Madden numbers, go on ahead and keep him up there. But the last time I checked, and you can ask the Jets for letting fucking Woody Johnson's son keep them from going after certain players because of their Manning stats. Manning doesn't mean shit when we're talking real life.
Mhm.
Let's go.
I'm with you. I'm with you. And so I'm gonna put it like this from another sport is the postseason matters when we're trying to line these guys up. It really does because I'm gonna take James Harden for example. I think he's deserved to be the MVP for several seasons, and he won it a couple of times. Absolutely deserved it for his regular season play. But we know what happens with that dude in the playoffs, and so I really need to see you win. And also just play big in the big moments, man. We've been over this a million times, man. Jalen Hurts, by all rights, should have been Super Bowl MVP twice.
Absolutely twice. And not because of his own car, or because of James Bradbury can't keep his hands off of Juju Smith Schuster.
I mean, dude's balling. There's no question about it. And I love the dual threat and I love the poise.
Absolutely, man. That dude is just a winner. That dude is just absolutely a winner, man. But that's the beauty of what it is that we do. We get input from the live chat with some of the listeners. Hey, man, we can have this debate for hours, but what it is good to be able to talk live sports with someone.
Let's do it. Mariners Lifers on another one. DK Debo or Scary Terry McLaurin. I'm taking Scary Terry McLaurin, then DK, then Debo. And I just want to do one more addition is that Jaden Daniels is absolutely already knocking on the door trying to get in the club for top five.
Sure is, man. He may be the uninvited guest that no one may want to see and have you relist that order in the next 12 months. Um, I don't know, man. I'd take a healthy Christian McCaffrey over all three of them.
Okay.
I
Health.
would. I take it. I
Okay,
take a healthy
let's take
Christian
health into
McCaffrey over all three of them.
consideration. Let's take health into consideration. Then where would you put him?
Mm. I like Terry McLaughlin has a lot of speed. Debo Debo was the man before they got McCaffrey. And once they got McCaffrey, he was going to become the expendable piece
Mhm.
because they have someone who can do what he does. When Ayuk is healthy, Debo might be the last man out, and that's kind of sad because he might be the most physically talented out of all of them.
Mhm.
But McCaffrey just balls. Ayuk, you can put down the field. Even Jawan Jennings, you could put down the field. They had a murderous row of offensive talent there in San Francisco, and it's unfortunate that Debo was going to be the short man out. But again,
Let's flip it.
out of all three of those, if we're leaving it to those three, I might have to roll with Scary Terry if we're only going based on those three.
I gotta ask you since they're in your division, man, divisional rival, Debo Samuel and Scary Terry bringing back Zach Ertz year two with Jaden Daniels. How much does that worry you? I mean, the Eagles are good enough. I wouldn't trip, but Lord knows Washington's on a come up and it's real.
It sure is. It sure is. Debo can't play defense, and we put up 55 points on them in the championship game. Now I'm gonna leave that there.
There you go. There you go, man. Mariners Lifers asking C-Mac, Bijan, or Gibbs. Shockingly, I'm taking Jameer Gibbs right now, but with running backs, it's so fluid, man. A guy gets dinged up and it completely changes for me. But that's how I view it at this exact moment.
I'm taking Saquon Barkley. You can kiss my ass with those other three.
Eh, I mean, he's hands down made his case at y'all. Unless shout out Tyson Baxter though, man. King Henry. We always want to crown these young dudes because they're new, they're hip, they're fun, but there's some OGs still wrecking shop without question.
Sure is, man. Sure is. Tyson Baxter said, from this side over here, it's way more fun when the NFC East is competitive. It is, man. It's the old school. We're better than the rest of you, and the only thing to see is how much we get beat up playing with each other. But the one thing that makes me the most happy about this is that Dallas is just as much in a scramble to get their shit together as the Giants are. So I don't give a fuck.
Now, that's huge. That's huge. Who's in your division plays a huge role into your potential success. Like RG, we got. I mean, we're gonna have to rip off the band-aid at some point. My beloved Seahawks, who a lot of dudes on the live chat love, also made some crazy, huge, wave, shocking moves lately. And when I'm talking about divisions matter, I think Pete Carroll and Geno Smith do make the Vegas Raiders a much better ball club. I still think they're going to finish last in their division. Look at the Patriots, 20 years, the best run the NFL has ever seen. They were held by playing a shitty division for that entire run. So those things do matter. So you always got to win within your own rivals first. But man, what am I going to say, bro? What am I going to. You talk to me. You talk to me from an outsider's perspective.
It's just interesting to see where you're going to end up with who by the time we get to June 1st.
Mm.
Because you let Lockett go in 10 years with a wide receiver. I get the economics of football. Now you don't have a quarterback. And I made the joke that you're going to overreach to go after Kirk Covington, but your options are going to be real limited. Now you just
Mhm.
gave away what might be your most dangerous offensive weapon and a physically talented guy like that. Whatever your front office is thinking or has up their sleeve, it'll be interesting to see what they do with how they structure what they're going to go after in the draft and in free agency when it officially begins, when you can sign and will and deal and do everything. You're just in a tough spot, man. You're just in a tough spot. And the Rams just got Devontae Adams. So now
Oh,
their
yeah.
offense is going to be a little bit better. Be interesting to see what moves San Francisco makes. Arizona's a fringe. You're still chasing two really good teams in your conference, and now you're going to have to rebuild your complete offense to be able to get it done. Tough spot for the Seahawks, man.
Yeah, I want to dive into what you said about the LA Rams first before I even get into the Seahawks. Because the Devonte Adams signing really worries me, dude. And if you're not worried about this one, you haven't been watching the Rams with Sean McVay all these years because route runners thrive in that system, man. We've seen Robert Woods and Cooper Cup just eviscerate their opponents, and Devonte Adams takes that shit to a next level compared to these dudes. Cooper Cup might be really famous, but if you look at his history, man, he's really had like one or two great seasons, and one of them happened to be on a run to the Super Bowl. That gets you shine, that gets you limelight that others don't see. But man, dude, Devonte Adams to that team really worries me as a Seahawks fan.
It's going to be tough. Going to be really tough for you guys to compete. I know we have our off mic chat, and I do talk a lot of shit just because of me and Indy's history of going back and forth and taking low blow jabs at each other. But it's really going to be tough. But hopefully you guys can get in there, make it interesting, and make it a 3-man race. But every step that you take over the next 2 months has to be extremely intricate
Mhm.
and purposeful, or it might take a while to bounce back.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, here are the facts of the situation. The Seahawks have last 3 years have gone 9-7, 9-7, or excuse me, 9-8, 9-8, and then 10-7 with that 17th game now. So they haven't been bad by any stretch. But say what you will about Geno Smith, whatever, he's a polarizing player. Some people thinks he sucks. Some people thinks he's a true franchise dude. I think he's kind of in the middle. I think he's a decent solid player who makes some catastrophic mistakes at times. But you get rid of your quarterback and two star receivers, whatever level they're still playing at. Those are giant losses. And I really look at the offensive leadership, though, too, because in my personal opinion, Gino and Tyler Lockett were the absolute leaders of the offense the last few years. So the leadership void is also a huge aspect beyond just the play.
Absolutely, and they're adios now, and they're adios. So It's tough to start from scratch there. We were in that same position. Matter of fact, when the Eagles lost to the Seahawks in the playoffs, it opened the door for us to be able to take another look at what we were doing with Carson Wentz, went and got Jalen, and the rest of it is all played out the way it was supposed to. Definitely, your leaders are your guys on defense,
Mm.
but you are going to have to score points to put up with the firepower that San Francisco and the Rams are going to try to come back with in this season.
Yeah, no doubt. It's crazy, man. It really took me by surprise with the Geno and DK trades. Tyler Lockett, I've been telling my wife for like a year and a half now, get ready, he's going to get cut soon. He's just a franchise favorite. He is just an overall beloved person amongst his community. Those are the guys you love. But like you said, if you follow the NFL business at all, you knew this was coming. 10-year playing. He's got an elite contract playing at a solid level. That math doesn't math at all. So I just want to look into the future a little bit for the Seahawks because it is really murky. But here's one thing to note: we already re-signed Jaron Reed and Ernest Jones, two huge re-signings to help a defense that improved massively from 23 to 24. But bro, I'm looking at this. The Seahawks now have about 60 million in cap space for 2025 and are looking at a whopping 259 million dollars a cap space in 2026. This season might be the Tavares Jackson season, which was Pete Carroll's second year with the team, where they still knew that they weren't sure about their franchise quarterback, but instead of forcing a shitty move, you just build the team up and keep searching for that quarterback down the line. Although I think that they might be in the Sam Darnold sweepstakes at what as well, which honestly, him and Geno Smith might be kind of a toss up. Sam Darnold's 7 years younger, so he's got that too. Is both guys were underwhelming young, have had resurgent seasons, each of them. So I look at it, if they sign Sam Darnold, it would basically be like saying we're going to trade Geno Smith and get Sam Darnold and a third round pick. If you say it like that, everyone will be down to do that trade.
Yeah, man. Like I said, there's options, man. There's options. It's not the end of the world, but the steps you take that you can't miss.
No,
You can't miss. You can
no.
absolutely not afford to miss right now.
Well, here's the bottom line, RG. Seahawks GM John Schneider, I love his balls right now, but it could absolutely backfire